Last week, I spoke about a topic that I hold close to my heart because I know what it's like to feel like there are so many different creators that do exactly what you do. How will you ever stand out amongst all these amazing creators? And last week, I spoke about a mindset shift and some practical tips to shine in your niche without getting caught in that comparison trap. So definitely go give that one a listen. Now, this week, you guys, have you ever hit a wall with your creativity where you just stop and say, okay, I guess I'm done? I know I felt that way too until I attended the Creative Besties Retreat hosted by today's guest, Royce from Roycycled Treasures. So, in today's episode, we're talking about what happens when you push through that wall, try something totally new, and let creativity evolve beyond what you thought was possible. So, let's dive in.
Welcome to the Rescued and Upcycled podcast with weekly inspiration, tips on trying new techniques, and overall real talk about owning your own DIY business. Now here's your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock.
Welcome back to Rescued and Upcycled. I'm your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock. I want to thank you all for joining me on my podcast today. If you're new here, I do interview creatives and other small business owners. I just love talking all things business. And this year, I've also decided to incorporate some design and decor topics into the podcast. I'm hoping that I've been inspiring you along with my guest host. And today, I will be interviewing Royce from Roycycled Treasures. I've had Royce on the podcast last year, right before my creative retreat, and I wanted to have her back because I recently attended her retreat. And you guys, she definitely pushed me. Seriously, though, she pushed me out of my creative comfort zone. I'm excited to get this episode started, so let's give a big welcome to Royce. Let me bring her on. Hello, Royce. Thanks again for joining me.
Good morning.
So I'm excited to have you back. Your retreat was amazing. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
I survived. No, it was
You survived. Yes.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, that's actually how I felt after my retreat too, is like I survived through it. And was that your first retreat you had another retreat a while ago, right?
I had a smaller one for retailers. There was 14 people. So 14 people, 55 people. So it was a little bit, a little bit more. But and in my previous life, right, I've done events. So I mean, it wasn't perfect. I have a list of things that I'll be tweaking for next year, but I give myself about 88%. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, you learn every time, you take back and you figure out what worked, what didn't, and you make those tweaks to make the next time even better.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what I'll be doing as well for my retreat in October.
So you're getting ready for your retreat.
Yes, we're coming down to the wire of what everyone has their projects decided, and now it's like finalizing and really getting all the supplies pulled together. And I know mine was a surprise last year too. I kind of like gave a little, hints, but yours was a total surprise to us. Like we had no idea what we were doing.
I really wanted, when we were thinking about like the goal of the retreat, sometimes if you say to somebody, you're going to make this, right? And they just think automatically, I could never. And then once they tell themselves that, then, my grandmother used to say, what did she used to say? Criminies, basically whatever you tell yourself is what's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so that's why I did it that way, because I really wanted everyone to just be in the moment too and focus on what they were doing in the moment instead of thinking about like what's going to happen down the road.
Right. And you just had a way of nudging us past where we would normally stop, I believe. You just let us create. And that made me a little nervous. I'll be totally honest. You gave us some instructions and then you just let us fly free. And I'm like, I looked at everybody at the table. I'm like, she's just going to let us all go like free for all. I'm like,
yes. Well, actually, I went to Carmen's retreat a couple of years ago, and she used to do like this really tight instructional. I had been to a few of hers, But the last one she did, she set up stations, and she just kind of like told us how to use each station, and then she let us go, and it was so much fun. And so I stole the idea from Carmen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I had never played around with was the jelly plate. So I really think that was a total game changer for me. How like I first discovered it. And I had seen like Jane Belante, I didn't realize she was using jelly plates, but she would make these beautiful images. And I'm like, what is she actually doing? But she never, she would just show pulling back the
Pulling it
paper.
off. Yeah.
Yes. And she wouldn't, I don't think she ever even mentioned, like, this is a jelly plate or whatever. So tell me, like, how did you first discover jelly plates and start using them?
Girl, I watch so many different creatives. Like I watch nail artists, I watch like all these different people. And I don't know, I saw somebody using a gel plate. And it's one of those things, y'all know how we do. I bought a gel plate and then I was like, ooh, I'm gonna use it. And then it was like 2 years later. And I hadn't used it yet. And so I think I saw somebody on YouTube and I got inspired to start using it again. And the gel plate, there's so like what you can do with it is insane. Like we
Mhm.
barely even scratched the surface of the surface
Okay.
at the retreat as far as
Yeah.
like what you can do with your gel plate. And so it's just a wonderful tool for creatives to integrate into their practice because it opens so many doors. Like we literally barely scratched the surface for the
Okay.
possibilities of that gel plate.
So maybe for somebody who's never used one or even has heard of it, like
Yeah.
when, like when I picked it up and I just like kind of dangled it.
What the heck is
What the
Royce?
hell is this? Yeah.
So it's a gel plate, and when it's for printing, right? So
Mhm.
you can print using paint, charcoal, like all kinds of stuff. Um, and so basically, it's for printing, but it's like a jelly. It's funny because there are actually recipes out there where you can make your own,
Mhm.
right? Using gel. And I think because it's squishy is why it's so good at picking up prints, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because of that kind of squishiness. But I love mine. I love it. I actually, and you can create beautiful textures that I haven't found any other way to be able to create other than
Mhm.
on the gel plate. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think if you're a perfectionist,
Don't
you
do it.
may don't do it
No,
because
do it. Do it. It'll be good
no, I
for you.
do it. Yeah. No, it would be really good for you because honestly, it kind of helps you break through that perfectionism cycle because like I would lay the paper down or like whatever piece I laid down and I thought it was going to pull all of it up. I had a vision of how I thought it was going to look and then
Hmm.
when it pulled back I'm like, "Oh no, it left some on the plate." And I'm like, "Okay, so then I would lay more down and actually that layering effect made the
Hmm.
next piece just even more beautiful." So,
Right? Because you end up with that little texture on there. And like, how else would you create that?
you would never.
And And when I'm working on my gel plate, I'm always surprised by the papers that I end up loving because seldom is it the paper that I planned,
Mhm.
right? Because
Yes.
you'll lay your paint down and then you'll like one of the things I love is like I don't even use lace, but I love lace on my gel plate. You can lay it down and it picks up and it leaves a print there, and then you can roll on, so you have your plans on what your prints are going to look like. My favorite bits are always the piece that I'm rolling my brayer off on, or the piece that I pulled just to clean the plate so I can move on to the next part. Those are always the papers that
Mhm.
end up being my favorite, not even necessarily the prints that I planned.
Right.
So it's wonderful, but just know that you're going to end up with a bunch of prints.
Right. Yes, and, that I was, like, so like, I kept on you gave us an entire day to just play around with all different techniques, and I had so much, and I was like, "There's no way I'm ever gonna use all of this," and then that's when you had to start creating, and we were able to create that master board,
Yeah.
and, Oh my gosh, I had so much fun doing that too. So, I mean, was that like, where did you come up with this idea? Like, did you just say like, I want them all to create their own master board? Is that like, that was your vision to do that?
My vision was to have everybody create something that they would have never imagined themselves creating prior to the event. Like that was the basis. And then all year I kind of ruminated over how I was going to do that. And I had a different idea. I was going to have you guys actually working like on your piece. And Jane was like, you're going to stress them out. That is going to stress them out. The idea of working on a canvas,
Yes.
because then there's like a commitment right away. So, I talk to my friends and, about like, what do you think? And more about, for me, was more about the psychology of it. I mean, I wanted you guys to create something beautiful, but I knew everyone in there was capable of that. I had no doubt. So it was just about removing barriers so that people could, honestly, I'm going to say this in like a nice way. I work on this too. Get out of their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we create barriers for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree with that because you almost feel like your creativity can only go so far. And then that's when you stop. And that's kind of what, when when I say you pushed me, because this is when like all hell broke loose at the table when you're like, okay, so we're going to be cutting this up, and I'm like, what did she just say? We're cutting this up? No, I'm like, I was ready to pack up my bags and walk out the front door. And I'm like, I had just created the most beautiful master board and I was so proud of it. And then they said, we'll take a picture of you with your master
boards. Well, and I really wanted, so the reason that like there was a method to all of my madness, right? Like I wanted you guys to experience using our craft supplies that a lot of us have already in a new way. So a lot of people have big shots. They probably have them sitting on a shelf somewhere catching dust, right? And they use it for card making, but maybe they don't make cards anymore or they don't do paper crafts anymore.
Right.
But a lot of the things that you have for paper crafts, you can absolutely use now. Like everybody puts their creativity in these little boxes. Like this is for paper crafts. This is for, crochet. This is for this. Mm-hmm. My brain just doesn't work like that. Like to me, it's all fair game. And so I wanted to create opportunities where you guys could make things that weren't necessarily like, it's like everyday things, even like the opportunity table, where I had like the netting and the, I don't know, just all kinds of random stuff over there for you guys to use on your gel plates. It was all about using everyday things to create art. And the master boards is not new. The idea of a master board comes from the paper craft space, right? Ladies make these master boards and you already have like a common theme, common color. So then when you cut it up to make tags or bookmarks or whatever you're going to make, everything goes together already, right? And so that's the power of a master board, which is why I create them for my decoupage line, is because, especially and you guys talk a lot about your vignettes. If you use one master board, and two different paint colors, like you have a vignette that's already made. Everything's going to automatically go together. So that's like an example of like this paper craft idea that can really be used anywhere. Right? Absolutely. So the idea of a master board is not new, but I did know what size the canvas was, and I did want you guys to make something larger than your canvas so that you could like choose your favorite bit to use on your canvas. So I didn't make you cut it up into a lot of little pieces.
No, you didn't. She gave us a frame. She did.
You could see like exactly how it was going to look before you cut it.
Yep. And I could pick out my favorite, and I did. It took me a bit, but I figured out what my favorite part was. And honestly, it was the pieces too where I used the big shot because I really liked that technique and the plates that I used for the big shot. So
it was fun. Yeah. And you can always tweak it once you cut your piece out. If you wanted to add something or there was still time for you guys to do that. So like,
Yes. And no, and it's funny because there's a video I will definitely be putting it out maybe as a reel, but I am like starting to cut. I'm like sitting there and Tara's sitting next to me and she's like, it's fine. It's fine. You're going to be fine. You know, like she's coaching me because I'm like ready to make that first cut. And I turned to her and I'm like, that is my line you're using right now. Like, I normally tell myself that and you're now telling me this, but it was fine. It actually, after I look back, because I have a picture of the big master board, I truly do love more the piece that I cut down and I preserved. So, and then you had us, this was the coolest thing. I love how you had us grab a bird and then just outline the bird, and then we had to paint it ourselves and add. That was so cool. So tell me about that idea.
I was so surprised by, so like I am on a mission, Sonnet. So many ladies in our niche are so incredibly talented, right?
Oh, yes.
But they'll be like, oh, I'm not an artist. Right? But if you think about the elements of art, you know, color, composition, like, I'm not suggesting that what we're doing is like fine art, but we're already making art.
Right.
And I am on a mission to kind of bridge the gap between like what we do, crafting, and art. Like legitimately, that is my overall mission. And so I really wanted to create opportunities where you guys could make art. And so when you guys made your palettes, you guys made your own color palettes. And I saw you give me the side eye then too.
No, I never did that.
So, you know, we had primaries on the tables. You guys had to mix your own colors. Like all these things are things that just like supercharge your creativity, right? Because the more tools you have in your toolkit, the more options you have to bring things in your mind to fruition. And so that was my goal. And so tracing the bird and then painting it was an example of what you guys are capable of. And that's why I wanted to do it. But I will say everyone surprised me.
The detail.
Everyone surprised me. The level of detail and commitment to paint that bird was crazy. So I'm walking around the room and I'm watching everybody. And so, you know, I'm taking classical art classes right now. And like a lot of times the instructor is like, you like when you're painting, you're like looking at your reference the whole time. Whole time. You can't just like look at it and then go paint and then come back. You're like looking at it for every little detail and you're doing that. So I'm walking around the room and I'm watching everyone do that naturally. It was just, and I mean, the pictures were from just a regular magazine by design. You know, we use regular deli paper. Like I didn't want to have any like fancy specialized equipment because I wanted everyone to go home you know, understanding that they had the ability to do this and they didn't need anything special. All they needed was themselves and permission from themselves to do it. So that was kind of my driver behind that. But yeah, you guys, like, it's crazy.
I think they crushed it. I mean, honestly, like, so I was so nervous about this whole process of having to paint my own bird because I too do not think I'm a true artist. And I was like looking over at Connie, who does this all the time, you know, like paints things. And I'm like, my bird is not going to compare to hers. And I'm like, Sonnet, I talk about comparison all the time. Like, stop comparing yourself to somebody else. And so I didn't even listen to the part where you said, even though in the book it might be a certain color, paint it to match your paper. So I painted and I'm like, oh, I really like it. And all of a sudden I hear, now we're going to add the bird to our project. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it doesn't even match. I mean, like now it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. And so I was like, I pulled out my color wheel and I recreated a whole bunch of the colors and I fixed it. And then I'm like, see, I have all these new talents.
But you were able to remix your colors.
I know. And the first time go around, I was like, what? You know, like, what I'm trying to read the color wheel and I'm trying to figure out what colors to add to make the color that I wanted. And the first time around, it didn't turn out that great, but eventually I was able to, you know, mix
Except for anything else, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure the first piece of furniture you painted probably,
Oh
didn't
my
come out that
gosh.
great.
It did
I mean,
not.
you know what I'm saying? Like we get past things and we're like, okay, we know how to do that. But then when we're learning something new, like for some reason, and I did the same thing, we expect ourselves to just be able to do it.
Right.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm working on a painting right now and I'm just like, I'm feeling like you, right? Like it looks okay. And I'm almost afraid to go on to the next step because what if I ruin it?
Right.
But part of learning. And so one of the reasons why I had you guys cut your master boards too is because I've learned a huge lesson. People will ask me like, how do you get past like being married to your work? And my answer is one, to create more work, right? If you're
Okay.
creating more, then you're not going to be married to that one thing that you've done. Because I think a lot of times we'll do something really good and then we almost like, what if I can't do that again? Or what if I can't create something
Right.
that's just that again, right? And so, or we just get married too early in the process and we rob ourselves of the opportunity of making something really fabulous. So part of the like the mental process of having you guys cut that master board was actually doing that. Like your
Okay.
willingness to walk away from something that you've fallen in love with to push past to the better thing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Right. I know. I did that. It
And
like
then I was gonna have you guys do a negative painting. Like my membership hates it. They're like, we did our call this week and I did a project. No, oh yeah, it was for the class, but for the membership where I did like you have your master board underneath, right? And you
okay.
put something over the top of it, and your master board is showing through a face or a flower or a butterfly, and you paint everything around it away, like you just paint it. But y'all was like, all of you, not just you. When I started painting, so when I started talking about carving out, your bird and painting around it, I was getting some mean looks from around the room. So I just was like, okay, we won't
Yeah.
do too much today. We won't push people too much.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Connie is like coaching, like next to me, like she's trying to prep me. She's like, just so you know, Royce is going to make us like paint over this. I said, no, she's not. Oh, yeah, I think she is. And I'm like, well, you know what? She's already made me cut it up. She's not going to make me paint over this. I am telling you, I was like getting really like nervous.
You guys were supposed to paint over it, but it's fine. It's fine.
Oh,
Everybody loved what they did.
yeah.
And some of you guys did. You carved out a little bit. People used transparent white, I noticed,
Yep.
to kind of carve out, just so the bird didn't get lost, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um,
I actually took the chalk and I kind of like emphasized around him and I did a technique around the bird,
with
like
the charcoal.
yeah, with the charcoal. I did do that, but I was like, that was the most like when she's like, grab some white paints on it. I'm like,
I'm not doing it.
I'm
You were
not.
not alone. You were not
Oh,
alone.
good. Because I was like,
No.
wow, she's not really like I thought you were gonna actually really encourage us to do that. And then I'm like, oh, she's kind of holding back. You talked about the technique of it and what you can do. So
It
I
was
like,
really fun. I had a plan, but I wasn't married to my plan, right?
okay.
And so like the first day, we were only supposed to be creating for half a day. I had plans for the afternoon. But
Oh,
when I was like, okay, you guys, in about 15 minutes, we're gonna start wrapping up. It was so nice having a smaller retreat. And I mean, it was larger than my last retreat, but people keep asking me, are you gonna go bigger? I'm like, no, we're actually gonna go smaller this year. We
okay.
had 60 seats available. We're gonna go down to 55 seats because being in that kind of an intimate setting allows me to read the room more effectively.
Right.
So you guys really guided your own experience. Like I had my idea of what I wanted to happen, but I wasn't married to that idea. I was more married to the transformation. And so I made like these little tweaks along the
Mhm.
way. You guys didn't know. And it was really just reading the room. Now there were sometimes I pushed you guys, like cutting up your master boards, but sometimes I didn't.
Right.
Because I wanted everybody to love what they made and to really enjoy the experience.
I know. No, I really did enjoy the entire experience. I did. Although there were moments where like felt like I was gonna puke, because I'm like, I don't want to do that. And even though I thought I was happy with the piece, in the end, I was even more happy based on, what you instructed us to do.
What you
So
pushed me to do.
you
I thought
pushed
it was interesting the disbursement in the room because every table had an artist.
Yes, you're
Crazy,
absolutely
right?
right.
I did not
Yeah.
plan that.
Yeah, because
I did not plan.
Pam was over at the one table, Connie was at ours, and
Robin was at his
yep,
table. Every table had an artist at it. Like that was unintentional on my part.
mhm,
It just happened that way. And
yeah.
so I love the fact because I was walking around, but you guys weren't asking me nothing. Y'all had your head. I was going through the 850 photos that my husband took over the weekend. It was actually more than that. And I'm like looking for photos of ladies like laughing and having fun. Girl, y'all were like focused. You guys were focused and intentional
Oh,
about what you were doing. There was no
yeah.
giggling out. I mean, I have some tables of people talking and laughing, but there weren't very many. Everyone was like really focused on their projects. It was interesting to
Right,
watch. I'm a people watcher, so
right.
um,
Yes, I know, 'cause, like, I think too, the reason we were so focused is that we didn't really know what the final outcome was. So, like the first day, I was like, "Okay," she told me I had to get to every station and I had to do this. Like, I was focused on, like, trying to do each of the tables. So, for those of you who did not attend, Royce had how many tables? Like, were there, like, 7 tables
I
that you
want
guys
to say there were actually only 5 stations, but two
Oh,
of them were duplicated. Well, because I tried to duplicate them so that the tables wouldn't be crowded, but
yes.
apparently I need to do more duplication next
Yes,
year.
I would agree. So, yeah,
Um,
so then you'd go to the table and you would use, like, for instance, with the Sizzix machine, you would create, I think you said 2 different ones. So I grabbed 2 plates and I created there. And then I went to the next one and I just love how you had it set up where we got to try different techniques. And I've not done any of these techniques that you showed us, which was really
which
cool.
is awesome.
I know, and, like, the hot glue one and just, but yeah, so I was so focused on trying to get to each table and create and, uh, what I was holding me back to was, like, I was trying to figure out where this was taking us, like, what is she gonna make us use these things for? And finally, I'm like, "You know what? Just pick out your favorite things." So I finally just
Yes.
started picking out, like, my favorite image and what was my favorite, like, the like, I'm not that bit is it The Big Shot?
Mm,
And I
yes.
just picked
The
out, like,
drive
my
by.
2 favorite plates, and then, but yeah, so I just kept on going, around and doing that, and then I gathered everything. I'm like, "Okay, I feel good." And then I kept looking, and everybody just kept creating more like, they kept going back. I'm like, "I don't think that they were supposed to do that."
I know. It's fine.
I
It's
know, but
experience. But this is because everyone talks about like you know how you can like I could see Connie's work anywhere. And
Mhm.
before anybody would tell me, I would know that that's Connie's work, right? Because she has a very specific voice. Everyone has an artistic voice, whether you think you do or not. And so one of the reasons why I didn't want to tell you guys what you were doing because I wanted you to pick your favorite things, right?
Yes. Yeah,
That's your voice.
right.
And so like everybody's master boards look completely different,
Mhm. Oh,
right?
I
Based
know.
on
And, like, even when we had to pick out our color palette, I was like, "Oh, that was so much fun for me to pick out my color palette," and I knew what I was going for, but then to create it was a little bit more difficult.
yeah. Well, I mean, but it's a process though,
Yeah.
because you said I made it again really
Yep,
quickly to fix my bird, right?
yep,
So now that little piece of information, it's yours now. You internalize it, and it just becomes part of your practice. I taught color theory in my membership last year, and one of my members said I was on a live, and and people are like, "Are you mixing colors?" And she wasn't even thinking about it, right? She had learned this thing and internalized it, and it just becomes part of what you do. Um, and of course, we had 5 different values, light, dark, darker. Anyway, 5 different values from light to dark. That was by design, so that you guys' ultimate design would be like nice and balanced, and you wouldn't
right.
just have, a whole bunch of dark colors or light colors. Although you could, but yeah. So I didn't want you guys to know where you were going because whatever you made was going to be yours. It wasn't mine.
Exactly.
You guys made things that were completely like you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so what I did with my project, I brought it home and it is definitely sitting proudly in my studio because
I
it is
love
not
it.
going anywhere. And it was my 1 year anniversary for my subscription box, my maker's box. And at the retreat, we were all sitting around, all of us girls, and I said, "Do you guys think I need to redesign the exterior?" And I said, maybe just a change up, because I like to change things up. I mean, yes, everybody knew the color of the box and stuff, and it was bright and vibrant, and everyone at all the girls are saying, like this would be the time at the 1 year anniversary. And I went into Canva and I just started playing with a whole bunch of different, images and things that I thought were cool. And none of it was working. And I was feeling completely exhausted. And then I looked over at my master board and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be my new maker's box. And yeah, I love it. So
When
I
I saw it, I was like, oh, she used her master board.
know.
I like honestly, I was going through the photos that you guys all took, like at the photo booth when David was taking pictures on the last day, and they were all smiles then,
Yes.
not when you guys were working though. And everyone was just beaming with pride over, their projects, and you have no idea, like no idea how much that touched me because
Oh,
that was what I wanted.
yes. Oh,
So
absolutely. I know we're definitely coming back. So, for next year, any sneak peek or any like, I know you said that you're starting to create or like come up with an idea or you have a vision, or do you want to give
I
any
have
like,
like an overall vision. No, I'm not telling you. I have
okay.
an overall vision of what I want, but girl, so what I do is I'll see something and like how on all the apps you can save things like in a folder
Right.
almost. And so I have like a retreat folder on TikTok, a retreat folder on Instagram, a retreat folder on, YouTube. And I just see ideas and I just put them in there.
Okay.
They're just in there. But if I see something that really, really excites me, I just kind of park it. And I won't make a final decision of what we're like. I have an overall decision of what we're going to do, but the final pieces will probably come together by like January. Although
Okay.
I've already started ordering. The first thing I ordered was freaking tablecloths. I'll tell you that. That brown paper about killed us the night before trying to get set up.
Right. Oh,
But yeah, I'm excited for next year. I'm gonna push you guys a little bit further next year, just so you know.
okay. Oh boy.
So you can tell people Royce pushed me. I was like, you gotta stop saying that, Sonic.
I
People
know.
gotta think
I
I
know.
pushed you.
Well, I was trying to like come up with like a catchy headline for my, so people would, what? Royce pushed her? Oh my gosh, I gotta watch that video. That's what I. And then you're like, girl, that's how rumors are started.
That's how
People are gonna
rumors
think
get
I pushed
started.
you.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh. But it's good though, right? I mean, I it's funny because right now, I am really like I don't know if you pay attention to my social media, but like really speaking to the heart of like our ladies about what they're capable of, about stepping outside of their comfort zone, giving themselves permission, I'm saying, to try something new. And if it doesn't work, it's not failure, it's just new, right?
right.
And I'm preaching to the choir over here because I'm learning how to sketch. And, my eyes are always like never lined up. And,
Yeah,
you know,
I
and so
know.
I have to talk to myself like, Royce, just, it's fine. It's a piece of paper. If it doesn't work, you can paint another one. Like, get over
Right.
it. I mean,
Yes.
I talked a lot harsher to myself, but you know what I'm
Oh,
saying.
oh, I know. Yes. But I hear that, like you said, so often, like somebody doesn't want to try something new. A perfect example is like the paint inlays. Like they are so afraid to use them because they think they're going to fail. Just you don't have to take a big, you know what I mean? They come on huge pieces. cut off a little corner and just try a little sample. I mean, but yes, people are so afraid to try something different and new. So, but like even with the jelly plate, that is a different, like I was nervous at first too. I'm like, okay, I have to tell you a funny story. Like Sylvia at our table, she's going to kill me. All of a sudden I look over at her and she's going, she's putting on like a ton of paint on her jelly plate. I'm like, I haven't even done this before, but I do not think that's right.
There's really, I mean, it's really hard to destroy a gel plate. I mean, you can, but like some people do use like tons of layers and they put books on them and they let them dry overnight and then they pull it off. I mean, it's crazy what people do with that gel plate. Yeah. Inside of our membership, we did fabric projects with our gel plate.
Really?
So fun. Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Like you can do, I'm telling you, it is a rabbit hole of rabbit holes once you get started. Because you're basically printing and you think about what could you do with what could you print on? Right. Or how could you print? Or what could you print? And you know, it's insane what people do with that gel plate.
Right. I know so I bought one. And it's funny that you said that at the very beginning of this podcast. You're like, I bought one and I let it sit for 2 years. Well, let's see. When it was in April when your retreat was. So May, June. It's been sitting for 2 months so far and it's still in the package, but I need to break that baby out.
You have to make it into your rotation.
Yes, I know. I have
and
to
you can use it with your decoupage papers.
I know. Yes. So that's a good point. I might have to do it on one of my up and coming videos and show how it's done. Because hint, hint, we're going to be using the jelly plate at my retreat as well. So Royce inspired me. I'm going to be doing something completely different, but it will be a lot of fun. So you guys, if you're coming to my retreat, which there are tickets still available, you'll be doing that to kick off the retreat using the jelly plate. So
and who are your guest instructors this year? I'm being nosy. I know she's going to be there. I saw the reel.
Yep. So Connie goes, oh my gosh, when I saw that reel, I'm like, yeah. So Connie is going to be coming back. She was there last year. She's a fellow Wisconsinite. And she has an amazing class scheduled for hers. Tara from the Reclaimed Ranch, she'll be, this is really cool. She's going to take a piece of decoupage paper, and there's so many times like you want to put the paper on something, but it's a little short this way, or it doesn't fit this way. Mm-hmm. And one thing that Tara is amazing at is blending, and she is going to showcase how to take that paper and blend it so it's seamlessly on your project. So that I will tell you that is what she's going to teach at hers, for her. And then Julie from Julie's Designs and Signs, she'll be there. And Sasha from Sweet Pickins Milk Paint, so the owner of Sweet Pickins Milk Paint, and she's obviously going to show some different techniques using milk paint. And then Christina from the Turn Leg, she'll be there as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and me.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Awesome. You painted using the blue. Well, you had everything blue in the video for the box. Mm-hmm. And so I pulled out one of my sap buckets and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna use some milk paint. Look at you, see? You inspired me. Oh. Now I can see that sap bucket painted in milk paint. So I don't have to get it done, but I know. At some point I'll get it done. My grandbaby turns a year old and we're having a big shindig this weekend. So it's been a year. I cannot believe it. The grandbabies get older faster than the kids. You know how you felt like your kids just grew up so fast? The grandkids are faster.
Yes. Yeah. I know, like Caitlin, she'll be 18. My baby will be 18 in September.
So she's a senior this year?
Yes, she is a senior and she'll be off to college then, after, and I don't know. So I just remember like holding her like when she was so little and I whispered in her ear, just stay little forever. And she looked up at me and goes, okay, mommy, but it's so funny because like at that time she was like, so lovable, hugging, like had to be attached to me. And then I don't even remember how many years ago where she's like, ew, don't hug me. Like, what are you, like, why are you looking at me like that? You know, like, and we just went to Mexico for a trip, and right before Mexico, I had noticed that she was becoming more like back to her sweet little, you know, like I don't know. It was like all of a sudden I saw like this glimmer of light, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting Caitlin back. Because there was a moment where like I felt like she didn't like me. And then we had the best time in Mexico. And like even last night I was sitting on the couch and she comes over and she sits down and hugs me. And Craig's like, whoa, what's going on? I'm like, yes, I got her back.
Yes. Well, I'm sure she's thinking about the fact that, this part of her life is for them, like high school. That was a big deal, right? Like, oh my gosh,
I know.
this part of my life is coming to an end. And
I know.
yeah, it's a transition time. So
Yeah, I know. It's a transition for all of us. So I just can't believe it. I'm like, I said to my husband, we're going to be empty nesters pretty quick. And we have our son too. He's 25. And I keep saying like, oh, like, when is he going to tell us? Like, they're going to get married and then have a baby, you know, like, when is the next step going to be happening? I'm like, I don't know if I can be a grandma yet.
Right. Right. My son was 30 when he had my grandson, and I was still like, I'm not old enough to be a grandma.
Right.
And so I'm like, Damar's gonna call me Gma. No,
Aww.
David ruined it. He just kept saying grandma. So
oh, that's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I know life goes so quick.
It does.
But
it does. But this time in our lives, though, like we're at this place. Like I feel like for us, when we think about who our customer is, like we are our customers. Because when we were younger, I was thinking about it. As a young woman, I was very creative, right? Before I had responsibilities. I mean, before I was responsible for other people, I was very creative. And then once I started having, I only have 2 boys, but once life starts lifing, you have work, you have your kids, and there's cupcakes, and there's games, and there's, what I'm saying, there's all the things, and little by little, we pack ourselves away, right?
Yes.
Because there just isn't space for it, and then we reach a point in our lives where our kids are more independent, and I feel like that's when you start kind of revisiting opportunities to be able to create. And then when the kids are gone, you even have even more time. Only now you have time and resources too, right? Because in my 20s, I had time, but I didn't have any money.
Right.
So
exactly.
Right. And then when you're older, you have time and you have resources. And I think for a lot of the women that we serve, they're trying to figure out, it's an interesting transition. I was caught off guard by it. When my son graduated, there's like this weird quiet.
I know, that's how I feel like it's going to be here when she finally leaves. Because normally, like, she comes in and she's, stuff.
Yeah.
She
Or
talks.
there's something, right? She's
Yes.
getting,
Yeah.
I'm saying? She needs her shoes for practice because she forgot to get them. They're on the counter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's like you're living my life, Royce. Like, like I have to run every which way. And then she's like, Mom, you don't know my schedule? And I'm like, I can barely keep up with my own schedule. And I'm trying to incorporate yours and Dad's. It's like, So that it's very chaotic. So.
Right. And then when they go off to school.
I know.
Right.
It's quiet.
It's an interesting transition. No more stinky. My son would put his freaking football pads in my car. I live in Arizona. You've been here. You were here in the spring. Right?
Yeah.
Football practice is in August. It's hot. It's humid. And he would like put his football pads in my car and then text me, Mom, can you bring my pads to practice? And I'd go to get in my car after just so stinky. I don't think there's a smell worse than football pads. I just don't think so. I don't think so.
Oh my gosh.
But, I miss Friday night nights. I miss, even though I didn't really know what's going on because I don't really know football.
But you knew you were going to be there. Yep.
I was there. So, but anyways, I digress. But that's the beauty of what we do, though, I think.
Yes. And I love, inspiring our community and teaching them different techniques. And I know. And that's why that's why I love doing the retreats too, because I mean, it's nice to be able to like talk to our, viewers, like communicate like when they send me messages and things like that, but to actually meet people in person and really have those one-on-one conversations and, it's totally different. That's what I love. And I'm assuming that that's why you do your retreats too, to really
Yeah.
bring together your community.
And even that was more than I thought it was going to be. Like
Mhm.
we sent out the survey afterwards, and I sat here. I'm not even kidding you, and I'm like crying reading through the surveys, and
Yes.
people are saying things like, "This literally changed my life." Like literally, this
Mhm.
experience, or I needed this. I didn't know I needed this,
Right.
right? But this is
Yes.
absolutely what I needed. And I think it's because if you're a creative, like, and this is why I think that being an artist isn't about the techniques that you learn. It is, but it isn't, right? It's part of who
Mhm.
you are. And so being a creative person, you're probably not around a lot of other creatives every day. Like my friends love me, but they don't understand.
Oh, no. Mine don't either. They're like they have no idea what goes on in this head, you know?
Right? Exactly. They really, and I mean, even my husband, he loves me and he is so supportive, but being around people who are wired like you and that many people, and being able to connect on a level that is so special, like you just cannot replace that.
Right.
And at the meet and greet I was watching, because a lot of people came by themselves, and so people walk into the room and I'm watching. And David said, he goes, "Oh my gosh, I had a headache, because of the ambient noise in the space the whole time. Like there was palpable energy
Mhm.
that everybody had, and it's just being there with other creatives. And we had people from all over.
I
I don't
know.
know. It was so beautiful. I love it.
Right.
And it's you go back to your life and you're like, I miss my creative buds because
Yes.
they
Yes.
get me.
Yes. And one thing that like I was posting like about my retreat and so often I was like reading comments like, "Oh, I wish I could do that." No, you can. It's just a plane ticket away and it's not I mean, plane tickets are so inexpensive now and I wonder too like what's truly holding them back. Is it I think they're nervous about doing something like that. Like going by themselves. But like you said, people do it all like many people showed up by themselves. And by the end, you are just surrounded by like minded people or individuals, and we're all friends. And I mean, yeah, it
And
was just
it's
a
the
lot of fun.
experience. We had one, she registered. So Thursday, right, we're setting up for the meet and greet and we're trying to get all the last minute details done. And I look on my thing and I have an alert that somebody's registered. I'm like, somebody registered today,
Yeah.
and she did. She lives in the Phoenix area. She registered that day. She drove up that day. She got there in time for the mixer, and she came by herself,
Yeah.
right? And I had one other person, and she's like, "I haven't been crafting that long. I don't even know if it's appropriate for me to come." And I'm like, "You guys, it doesn't even matter." Like the way
Right.
the what we're gonna be doing, you guys are gonna have instruction, you're gonna have support, it'll be fine. And she came, she said, she hasn't been crafting or creating that long. She came by herself. And I think she's already signed up for next year.
Oh
Like,
my gosh,
she's
that's
coming back.
awesome.
She
Yeah.
is. She was like, I had such a good time. And her project was absolutely fabulous. Like, everybody's
Mhm.
was.
Right.
Everybody's was. It was
Yes.
just, yeah. The experience, I just don't think you can replace it.
I agree 100%. I mean, I'm trying to like put into words how I felt when I walked away. I just felt like I came back and I just felt rejuvenated and like I it made me more creative in other aspects too of my business even because it just like I said it definitely pushed me and it made me realize like I can take my creativity to the next level and or I am capable of doing this. Like it just made me realize so many things. So
And creativity doesn't just belong for your crafting. Like people will say, I'm not creative. Like, are you kidding? Like I could never do my books the way you do your books, or I could never cook the way you cook, or I could never, I mean, I could, but I don't want to.
Oh gosh, we are good friends because I choose not to cook. I can cook, but I choose not to.
My poor husband, he gets a cheese crisp with rotisserie chicken and he's like happy. But I mean, and so when you're pushed outside of your comfort zone, it does expand you. And that expansion, it does spill over to other things, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I always say when you're working in your own like ecosystem, you're only going to do what you do. Like you have to step outside of your ecosystem in order to be able to expand, because how else are you going to even know what else to do? You don't even know what you don't know.
Right.
And being in a space with other creative people who can encourage you or help you. And like you said, you guys are at that table and everybody is good at something. So you're at a table with 4 or 5 people and everybody has strengths and weaknesses, right? And you get to bounce off of that in that space to help each other and to encourage each other. I don't know.
Right.
Do it.
Right.
You won't regret it.
So what I have to ask you, what is your favorite technique that you love to do?
Negative painting.
Oh my gosh, the thing that you made, we're going to make me, oh my gosh.
No, I love it. And this is why I love it. This is why I've grown. You know how you look at a piece of art and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. And in my mind, I'm always trying to like reverse engineer like how they did it, right? Automatically. That's what I'm doing. And what I'm learning is that there are layers and layers and layers. And so we always view the thing on the top, the last layer, and we're marveling at it. But there's all kinds of layers underneath that are really what's making you respond so emotionally to that piece, even though you cannot actively see it with your conscious mind.
Okay.
Your unconscious mind can see it. And so I think that's why I love it so much, because it adds something that you just can't add with one layer.
Okay. I feel like what you're telling me is that I'm going to have to do it if I come to your retreat next time.
Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I have a pretty good idea of what I'm going to do. It's funny because I was like, okay, this is the result I want. And I have to reverse engineer it.
Yes.
And have it be in a way that it's not going to scare you guys too much, right? I don't want anybody to freeze and not do the thing. Right. But yeah. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
That's my favorite thing right now. And charcoal. I'm like loving charcoal. Oh my gosh.
It was the first time too I played around with, well, I think it was the second time I played around with charcoal, but yeah, I really liked taking it and like kind of like blending and just I love that shadowy look it gave my bird. I don't even know if I did it right. To me, I did it right because it looks amazing on my paper. So
Exactly.
But yeah.
I'm loving charcoal because I don't know. I love it. And right now, yesterday was my first day off. I'm saying off because I still did stuff, but I didn't have the baby. I wasn't planning for the retreat. I wasn't recording I don't know why. I booked myself all these things and I forgot that my grandbaby was going to be out of school.
Oh.
So it's just been so tight. Like, my life has been so tight. And yesterday was my first day that I could actually breathe. But I've made a commitment to create every single day. Like my craft is not going to grow if I don't do the thing. Right.
Right.
So
Yes.
at night, even if it's just a quick charcoal sketch, that's what I've been doing on the days where I'm like super busy, which I know you understand.
Oh, I do.
And I can just carve out like 20 or 25 minutes before bedtime to do a sketch, just something. And so I've been sketching with charcoal and newsprint, and I just love it. I love it.
Okay. So I guess one thing that I would encourage our viewers to try is maybe instead of every single day do that, but maybe like once a week or once a month, just set some time aside and play around with something new and different. And, try, I guess I love experimenting with all different products. And
we know y'all got the products.
yeah. Because they see something and then they immediately want to buy it, and then it sits, and then they don't play around with it. So experiment and play around and have fun. That's what I would encourage everybody to do.
Yeah. And
And
the
then
growing is in the doing. I mean, you can watch all the tutorials and you can watch all the lives, but your growth is going to happen when you start doing.
right. Absolutely. I know, and that's one reason too that I love creating a YouTube video every single week, because that's what forces me to sit down and create. Some weeks I'm like, no,
Mhm.
I'm not feeling it. I don't want to. I'm dragging my feet. I don't know what I want to do. And then I just go out. I try to pick my pieces that I want to upcycle or create with. And I just like look around and I just start letting the creative juices kind of start flowing, and like, what would I do with that? And then I'm like, what do I have? And then next thing you know, I'm grabbing items, and then I get excited, and then it just like overflows. The creativity does. So force yourself if you have to, just to get started, and then just play is what
Yeah.
I
And it doesn't have to be anything big either.
no, it doesn't. No, absolutely. It can be something very small.
That's why I like the ATCs. Or am I saying the
Oh,
right?
yes, because Connie has been doing that.
Yeah. I mean, because
Oh,
it's just a little card, right? Just
yes.
set some time up and just make something. And to me, it can be therapeutic. There have been times in my life where I was under an immense amount of stress, and creating this, it was my like sanity.
Mhm.
Legitimately.
Absolutely. And I feel so much better after I have those projects finished. After I play around for a little bit and create, I feel so much more energetic and it actually helps me in like the other aspects of my life. So, and I know you guys are all creative souls out there. So, but, um, and I also want to say too, like if you haven't been to a retreat and it's on your list of things to do, I would encourage you, just think like, what's really holding you back, and really step out of your
Mhm.
comfort zone and go do it. Yes.
Because
So,
yeah. When I first started in this niche, I was that person, right? I was like, do I really need to travel, to Colorado or, to California to go to a retreat? And um I went the first time and it was like you said, it's hard to articulate
it
what
is.
it does for you, but it literally fills you up. And as women, we give a lot. Like we're like the world's caregivers, right? Whether it's
Mhm.
kids, grandkids, spouses, our parents, we're like at that point in our life where it could be either or both, right? And
Mhm.
you're pouring out for other people, which we love. We do it because we love them. We do it out of love. But I always say, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
And
Yes.
so retreats like this is an opportunity for you to go and to pour into yourself. And you're not taking from your family, because when you come back full, then you have more to give. So
Mhm. And that's what I actually have, I think that wording, like, come and fill your creative cup. And because it's true, you do fill it up and you feel so much more rejuvenated. And yes. So if you are thinking about it, guess what? We're each hosting our upcoming retreat.
yours
Go
is in
figure.
October, though. It's right around the corner.
Right. Mine is a 3-day event. It's October 2nd through the 4th. And mine's a little different than Royce's. Like, I have creatives that I bring in house. And so you get to meet some of your favorite creatives. And I kick it off. And then there's a lot of mingling around that goes on. So lots of time to, meet and greet. And I know last year I had this big shopping extravaganza. It's going to be a little bit downsized. It's going to be just where you can shop products that I have available. So there's still going to be shopping, but lots of great food, and just a great time to be had by all. So that's what
The
mine
fall
is.
for you guys is beautiful, right?
Yes, yes. I know I said that last year, but it was unseasonably warm last year, which was perfect for you because you were afraid you were going to freeze.
It's like all my fault. I'm just kidding.
Yes, because Royce came and no, just kidding. But normally, it was like 2 weeks behind. So last year you guys missed the color change, but that weekend is normally when all the trees are in like full color. It's perfect. And it's beautifully warm during the daytimes and then just a little crisp in the, in the evening. But it's actually October is my favorite time of the year, truly. So
my event is not until April of 2026. It's the last weekend. I don't know the dates. I think it's the 23rd. Mine is like it's a 3-day event, but it's over 4 days. So it's Thursday through Sunday, but like Thursday and Sunday are just like partial days.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have it. It's a gorgeous space in our historic downtown area, and it's during an event. So in the evening, if you guys choose, the Spring Festival is there, and I've already signed up to be a sponsor for the event so that you guys can have space in the VIP section.
Yes.
Which somebody was like, they pictured themselves just having to walk around. I'm like, no, you guys had tables and chairs and like AC in there. We're gonna have AC this year too, even though the weather was nice here.
It was
really beautiful. April in Arizona is generally nice, but it's outside. You never really know. But anyways, it's going to be gorgeous. And I will be pushing people artistically.
It's okay. You guys, I lived through it and I'm going back. So
it's good to be pushed though, because then it makes you explore. Like I always learn one thing and then it turns into like 10 other things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyways.
Yes. I know. And like, exactly. Like you learn, like at my retreat too, we're going to be doing all different techniques. And so, that's what I want you to do is try something different, but be surrounded by others that can help, support you as you're doing this process. And if you already know how to do the process, really perfect it. So, I'm super excited for that too. So, and
I'm excited for you. We're not traveling this year. I'm so sad.
That's okay.
No.
I'm traveling too much this year, to be honest. My husband's like, you are like literally traveling every month. I said, I know, it's crazy. Yeah, because like July we're going to Canada. August I'm going back to Nashville to hang out with Jane at that.
Oh yeah, that's right. At the 127 cell.
Yes.
Jealous. Have you ever been before?
I haven't.
You are going to die, just so you know.
I know. I even told my husband, I'm like, I might have to rent a U-Haul and then bring it back. I mean, I'll be driving back.
I like legitimately, I am not kidding you. I have no words. You're gonna die. It's so much stuff.
Oh yeah.
Every lot in like if you're driving around a town and there's like an empty lot here and a parking lot there, they're all full with tents with people selling stuff.
Yes.
It is, and that's just in Crossville.
Right. I know.
I'm from like Michigan to Ohio.
Yes.
The wholesale does. It's huge.
Yes.
And
I know.
it's like
stuff. I know. I'm excited. So, yeah. So I'm going to be there in August, and then in September I'm going to. I have another retreat that I'm going to, and that one is in, I think, North Carolina. And then I'm headed back to Nashville because my friends, we are all going on a girls' like short weekend, like, or it's going to be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, kind of like What was that?
No business doing that.
No business. Nope. And here's me. These are my friends that don't thrift or they don't understand that kind of stuff. So I said, do you guys think we could, stop at the Goodwill bins? And they're like, what? You want to go to what? Goodwill bins? And I'm like, what? It'll be so fun. And they're like, no, we were not thinking. We were thinking about going down and listening to bands. I'm like, okay, well, we'll do that.
See, they don't know. They don't understand.
No, they don't. So it's fine. It's
love
fine.
us.
I know. So, well, I do want to thank you so much for being part of my podcast today. And
Thank you so much for inviting me.
yes. And I love that my viewers could actually just get a little glimpse, into how amazing your retreat was and how you pushed me out of my comfort zone. Oh,
Oh my
yes.
gosh, I really was touched. Like, I want you to know that because I saw it. Like, I was watching, I'm always spying on everybody. And I saw your new box. I was like, oh my gosh, that's her masterboard. Like, oh, that's her masterboard. I mean, I didn't make it, you made it, but
Right.
I'm just so happy that you were so happy with like what you created.
I know. I was you guys, if you have the opportunity to go to Royce's retreat, I would definitely encourage it. So like I said, when I said it pushed me, it truly did. And I feel like even today, I'm like, okay, I can do that. If I like say I can't, no, I can. I am capable. And
Yes.
I love that, that I was able to get that out of your retreat. So, but well, thank you so much, like I said, for coming and joining me today and chatting about that, because I wanted to talk about how I came up with my new Maker's Box design. And it was all thank you to Royce. So thanks.
Yes. Your
Yeah.
and your maker's box is fabulous. Like, you've added a lot of stuff.
I know. I know. I added on this last in June. It's called the digital press. And it's another way for me to start like creating a bit. So yeah, but it's all digital. I don't want to ever like
Well,
get into
but you have
printing
a
or
group
anything.
now too, right? Where they
Yes.
can like, yeah,
Yep.
sorry. I'm just
Nope. The creative community, I kicked that off too. And I was all about promoting it. And then I had some techie issues on the back end and I had to kind of stop. So I'm re-promoting it this month. It was not accepting payments. My company that
yeah, that's right. We're talking about that. Yeah,
yeah.
no.
Yeah. But no, we get that all taken care of and it's all fixed, thank goodness. But do you know how stressful that is during like
During the launch, why does stuff happen during the launch? You ever notice that? Like, it's
I
not
know.
like a every day when you have like orders trickling in. No, no, no.
Yeah.
It happens during a launch. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
But
So, but yeah, the creative community got kicked off and it's going great. And we did our very first project. It was so fun. So my vision for that is just to continue to grow it and make it better and better. So, you
yeah.
know, you
And
learn
encourage
as,
more and more people to create more and more.
yeah.
And I'm sorry about the paper this month, you guys. That was my fault. Well, it wasn't mine,
Oh,
but I'll take responsibility for it. You already got the corrected ones,
I
right?
did. I got it. And,
Very good.
yes, so that's all good. It's all good.
Although your ladies are loving the Crocs. I'm watching them. I haven't seen anybody complain about the paper.
No, because they're like, we didn't even know there was something wrong with it. I'm like, yeah, because where they made the mistake, it fell perfectly. Like,
Right?
they
It's
could
kind of
do.
halfway through. Yeah.
Yep.
Now you have more Crocs to work with
Yep. I know.
on the new paper. But no, I mean, I would be so excited to get that box every month. Like, oh my gosh. Especially like we said, you're carving out time to create. You get that box and I don't know. I would be inspired to find the time to create every month.
Right. I know. And I love, like, when like I work with you and then I work with Connie and then I take what the papers you guys design and then I just pull together paint colors that just pair perfectly with it. And so when you mentioned taking a piece of like a masterboard and paint and it's like your vignettes, that's exactly it. Whatever you create from that box is going to pair perfectly together and work in a vignette if you're like a booth owner or even in your home, if you're creating like a display to put on your fireplace mantle or what have you. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's fun. I
So,
love that blue.
oh my gosh, the blue. I know. Every time I work with a new color from like Sweet Pickens, I'm like, this is like my favorite color. I know. So many that I'm like, you look and you're like, oh, what would I use with it? And then you try it and you're like, oh my gosh, why haven't I used it sooner? So I know. I am excited for this up and coming box too. And then Royce and I worked together and we came up with, well, I gave her some vision, and then she came up with the designs for the next 3 months, and you guys are gonna love them.
I hope so. I hope so. I always hope so. I don't know.
Yes,
It's
they
it.
will.
I know, and that's what David tells me. He's like, "How many designs have you done now? How many of them were not popular? Like,
Oh,
because you should see me over here when I'm like making final decisions about designs and what I'm gonna do." And
they
my
love
poor
every
husband.
month. Like, honestly, it's so funny because every month, oh my gosh, this box is even better than the last box. How are you guys doing it? Every box is better and better. I'm like, well, good. I'm glad you guys love them all.
That's good. I don't know
So
how you come up with the paint colors because your paint colors are always spot on.
yes, I know. Like I pick a color and sometimes I'm like, okay, I hope it matches perfect. You know, like because sometimes I don't have the papers
The
necessarily
paper,
in
I
hand
know.
yet. And
Yeah.
so I had to pick the colors and tell like the company ahead of time what colors I want because I'm taking a lot of their inventory for the boxes.
No,
So I'm like, I know that they'll be perfectly paired though. But all right. Well, thanks again, Royce. I appreciate your time today. And you guys, in next week's episode, we're diving into one of my absolute favorite topics, styling your home with thrifted and upcycled decor.
yeah.
Yes, that's going to be good. I'll be sharing styling tips, layering tricks, and ways to let your thrifted pieces look amazing. So stay tuned for that one. And if you guys are listening on any of the podcast platforms, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you guys don't miss out on an episode. If you're watching over on YouTube, definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is growing, and I would love to get to 1K by the end of the year. So I'm hoping that we can do that. So hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. Share it out so other people discover it and give me a thumbs up. If you are on Facebook or Instagram, I'm over on all the other social platforms. I post a lot more content over there as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you in next week. All right. Bye, guys.